The moment we've all been waiting for is finally here. Spencer Dutton's train is pulling into Montana, but so are Banner's men, Jacob and the sheriff. It's the perfect recipe for a bloodbath at the train station, and I guarantee someone isn't making it out alive. Will Spencer's homecoming turn into a funeral? Let's break down what's about to happen in Episode 6 of 1923, Season 2. As I predicted last time, the train station is going to become a war zone. The Season 2 trailer clearly shows Banner, and his men are ready to ambush Spencer the moment he steps foot in Montana. The sheriff's warning to Jacob wasn't just talk he knew Banner was planning something big. In the trailer, we see that tense scene where the sheriff tells Jacob, "I'm trying to prevent a war here," and Jacob responds with what we already know: it ain't preventable. He wants to take this place from us. Jacob isn't backing down, and neither is Banner. What's going to happen is classic Taylor Sheridan. Spencer will step off that train, and bullets will start flying immediately. I'm guessing the first shots will come from Banner's men hidden somewhere in the crowd. Jacob and the sheriff will return fire, and innocent bystanders will scatter. Remember that shot from the teaser showing Spencer running inside the train? That's going to be him diving back for cover when he realizes he's walked into an ambush. We'll probably see Jacob yelling for Spencer, maybe even thinking his nephew is dead in the initial chaos. The sheriff will try to maintain order, but as we've seen throughout this season, his authority doesn't mean much when the Duttons and their enemies decide it's time for violence. I think the sheriff is in serious danger here. He's caught between Jacob and Banner, trying to keep the peace, and in Sheridan's world, that's a death sentence. Remember Sheriff Donnie Haskell from Yellowstone? Peacekeepers don't last long in this universe. What about Banner? I've been waiting all season for him to get what's coming to him. The train station confrontation would be the perfect opportunity to eliminate him, but I'm not convinced it'll happen just yet. Taylor Sheridan loves to drag out his villain storylines, and Banner still has unfinished business with the Duttons. My guess? He'll escape, maybe wounded, to fight another day, probably in the season finale. Instead, I think we might lose one of Banner's top men, possibly even the one who's been doing most of his dirty work. It would raise the stakes without ending the main conflict too early. What do you think? Will Banner survive the train station showdown, or is Episode 6 going to be his last? The train station shootout isn't just going to be a quick exchange of gunfire. I expect it to be an extended sequence, maybe even the opening 10 to 15 minutes of the episode. We'll see Spencer using his war experience to navigate the chaos. He's survived battlefields in Europe and dangerous animals in Africa. A few of Banner's men won't stop him. But that doesn't mean he'll escape unscathed. Spencer might take a bullet, adding even more drama to his homecoming. Jacob will be fighting like a man possessed. This is his nephew, his brother's son, and he's not about to lose him minutes after he returns. We've seen Jacob's ferocity before, especially when defending his family. This time, with Spencer in immediate danger, Jacob will be more dangerous than ever. Remember how vicious he was after recovering from his own gunshot wounds in Season 1? That violence will pale in comparison to what we'll see at the train station. The sheriff is truly caught in the middle. He came to warn Spencer, to try and prevent bloodshed, but he'll end up right in the thick of it. His badge won't protect him from Banner's bullets. In fact, it might make him a primary target. Banner knows the sheriff has been somewhat sympathetic to the Duttons, and eliminating him would remove an obstacle. I really feel like the sheriff's days are numbered, and the train station might be his last stand. As the gunfight rages, civilians will be running for cover, creating even more chaos. In that confusion, we might see Banner trying to slip away once he realizes things aren't going his way. Jacob might spot him and give chase, leaving Spencer behind to deal with the remaining gunmen. This could split our storyline: Jacob pursuing Banner through the town, while Spencer fights for his life at the station. The aftermath of the shootout will be just as important as the battle itself. Bodies will litter the platform, some innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire. This will raise the stakes even higher for the Duttons. It's one thing to feud with Banner, but when innocent townsfolk start dying, public opinion could turn against them. The surviving citizens might blame the Duttons for bringing this violence to their town, further isolating the family. By the end of this first major sequence, I expect we'll see Spencer and Jacob regrouping, possibly tending to their wounds and making plans for their next move. They'll know Banner is still out there, possibly more dangerous than ever now that he's been humiliated. The train station shootout won't end the war. It will only be the opening salvo in what promises to be an even bloodier conflict. Spencer doesn't back down from a fight. We've seen that throughout his journey from Africa. After surviving the train station ambush, he won't be running scared. Instead, he'll be planning his counterattack. That scene from the trailer where Jacob says, "I'll sacrifice a lot, but this fight ain't over," is definitely from their car ride back to the ranch. Jacob will fill Spencer in on everything that's happened: the attacks on the ranch, the cattle poisoning, Donald Whitfield's schemes, and all the other threats they're facing. Spencer will realize he's walked into something much bigger than he anticipated. Unlike Jacob, who's been playing defense this whole time, Spencer is aggressive by nature. He spent years tracking and killing dangerous animals in Africa. He won't wait for Banner and Whitfield to make the next move. He'll go after them. That's the major shift we'll see in Episode 6. The Duttons have been reacting to attacks for the entire season, but with Spencer's arrival, they'll finally start taking the fight to their enemies. Spencer will likely propose a direct attack on Banner's ranch. He won't be interested in legal maneuvers or waiting for Banner to make a mistake. He'll want to end the threat immediately and permanently. This will create tension with Jacob, who, despite his willingness to use violence, still tries to operate within some kind of moral framework. Spencer has seen war. He's killed men and beasts without hesitation. The rules that Jacob lives by don't apply to Spencer. We might also see flashbacks to Spencer's time in the war. The train station ambush could trigger memories of being under fire in the trenches, giving us more insight into his character and why he's so effective at violence. Sheridan loves those kinds of parallels, showing how past trauma shapes present actions. These flashbacks would help the audience understand why Spencer is so willing to take extreme measures. He's seen the worst of humanity and knows that sometimes violence is the only language enemies understand. The episode will probably include a scene where Spencer and Jacob survey the ranch, assessing its vulnerabilities. Spencer will point out all the weaknesses in their defenses, things that Jacob might have overlooked or accepted as inevitable. This will further highlight the different approaches the two men take to protecting what's theirs. I'm particularly interested to see how Spencer reacts when he learns about the legal threat from Whitfield. Physical dangers Spencer understands, but through financial and legal means, that's something his gun can't solve. This might be where we see a moment of doubt from Spencer, a realization that he might not be equipped for every aspect of this fight. But make no mistake, Spencer won't hesitate for long. By the middle of the episode, he'll have formulated a plan to deal with Banner. I predict we'll see Spencer preparing for a nighttime raid on Banner's property. He'll be collecting weapons, maybe recruiting some of the ranch hands who are most loyal to the Duttons. Jacob might object initially, warning Spencer about the consequences of such a direct attack. But Spencer won't be dissuaded. This is where that car conversation comes in. Jacob will try to counsel patience, saying, "I'll sacrifice a lot, but this fight ain't over." He'll want Spencer to understand that they're playing a long game. But Spencer will counter that waiting has only made their enemies bolder. The time for patience is over. The episode might also give us a glimpse of Spencer's strategic thinking. Perhaps he'll set a trap for some of Banner's men, using himself as bait to draw them out. This would demonstrate that Spencer isn't just a brute force fighter. He's a tactician who understands how to manipulate his enemies. By the end of the episode, Spencer will have either executed his first strike against Banner or be on the verge of doing so. Either way, the message will be clear. The Duttons are no longer just defending their land, they're fighting to eliminate those who threaten it. This shift in approach will set up the final episodes of the season, where we'll see if Spencer's aggressive tactics succeed, where Jacob's more measured approach has failed. The war that's been brewing all season is finally here, and Spencer is the perfect soldier to fight it. The question isn't whether he'll survive, it's how many enemies he'll take down before the season ends. Cara's reaction to Spencer's return. Cara's reaction to Spencer's return will be one of the most emotional moments of the entire series. Her letters have been a constant thread throughout both seasons, and her faith that he would return has never wavered. I'm guessing the sheriff will be the one to tell her and Jacob that Spencer is on the train, setting up the station confrontation. Cara's face in that moment will say everything: relief, hope, and the tiniest bit of fear that something might still go wrong. But Cara won't be at the train station during the gunfight. She'll be at the ranch, probably preparing for Spencer's arrival, unaware of the ambush. When Jacob returns with Spencer possibly injured, her joy will be mixed with horror at what's happened. This will be a powerful scene, especially if Spencer is wounded, echoing how she cared for Jacob after he was shot in Season 1. Cara will once again be tending to a wounded Dutton man, all while struggling with the knowledge that the violence she hoped would end with Spencer's return has only just begun. The reunion between Cara and Spencer will be bittersweet. They'll embrace, of course, but there won't be time for a long, peaceful catch-up. The immediate threat from Banner will overshadow everything. Still, I expect at least one quiet moment between them, where Cara might say something like, "I knew you'd come home," and Spencer will respond with, "I'm sorry it took so long." These small moments are what make 1923 more than just an action series. They give emotional weight to all the violence. The shift in family dynamics. Spencer's return will dramatically shift the family dynamics. Jacob has been the undisputed leader of the ranch, making all the critical decisions. Now, Spencer is back, and he's a force of nature in his own right. Will Jacob be willing to follow Spencer's more aggressive approach to dealing with their enemies? Or will there be tension between them over strategy? The Dutton men have never been good at taking orders from each other, and Spencer isn't the same young man who left years ago. He's experienced war and wilderness in ways Jacob hasn't, and he might believe his approach is superior. I'm predicting some serious clashes between Jacob and Spencer over how to handle Banner and Whitfield. Jacob will want to maintain at least the appearance of legal action, while Spencer will advocate for a more direct and likely deadly approach. Cara will be caught in the middle, trying to keep the peace between these two stubborn Dutton men while also protecting the ranch. Her role as mediator will be more important than ever in Episode 6. Jack and Elizabeth's roles. Then there's Jack, Spencer's nephew. Jack has grown a lot since we first met him, taking on more responsibility at the ranch and becoming a husband and father. How will he react to his uncle's return? Will he defer to Spencer's experience, or has he become confident enough in his own abilities to challenge his uncle's decisions? I'm betting Jack will initially be in awe of Spencer, especially after seeing him in action at the train station. But as Spencer's methods become more extreme, Jack might start to question whether his uncle's approach is really what's best for the family. Elizabeth will add another layer to these complex family dynamics. She's proven herself to be just as tough as any Dutton, and she won't be pushed aside when the men start making plans. I'm particularly interested to see how she and Spencer interact. They've never met before, but they're both outsiders who've chosen to tie their fates to the Dutton family. They might find common ground in that, or Elizabeth might see Spencer as a threat to the life she's building with Jack. Emma's perspective. We can't forget about Emma either. Jacob's wife has been somewhat sidelined this season, but Spencer's return should bring her back into focus. After all, Spencer is her nephew too, and she'll have her own feelings about his homecoming and the violence that accompanied it. Emma might be the voice of caution, urging restraint when Spencer and Jacob are ready to charge into battle. These family dynamics won't just be background noise, they'll directly impact how the Duttons respond to the threats against them. A united family will be stronger, but internal conflicts could create vulnerabilities that Banner and Whitfield will exploit. If Spencer and Jacob are at odds over strategy, it could lead to mistakes or hesitations that their enemies will capitalize on. By the end of Episode 6, I expect we'll see the family coming together at least temporarily behind a common plan. Whether it's Spencer's aggressive approach or Jacob's more measured one, they'll need to present a united front to have any chance against their powerful enemies. The question is, how many more losses will they suffer before they find that unity? Tiana's dark turn. With Pete almost certainly dead after his showdown with Marshall Kent, At the end of episode 5, Tiana's storyline is about to take a dark turn. She's already suffered more than any character should have to endure, and Pete's death will push her over the edge. She won't run anymore, she'll be out for blood. This is going to be Tiana's transformation episode, where she changes from a survivor into an avenger. Episode 6 will likely open her storyline with Tiana discovering Pete's body. This will be absolutely devastating, especially after everything they've been through together. Pete was her protector, her lover, and her hope for a better future. Taylor Sheridan will make sure we feel every ounce of her grief in this scene. The camera will linger on her face as she processes what's happened, and I'm betting we'll see a performance that should earn the actress some serious award consideration. But Tiana's grief won't last long before it transforms into rage. We might see her howling with anger, maybe even taking Pete's gun and firing it into the air in a primal scream of defiance. This is Tiana declaring war on Marshall Kent. Tiana will attempt to track Kent on her own at first. She'll follow his trail using skills she's learned from Pete and her own people. This tracking sequence will be intercut with flashbacks, moments she shared with Pete, his kindness to her, and perhaps even his final words about coming back to her. These memories will fuel her determination, making it clear that she's not just seeking revenge. She's honoring the man who sacrificed everything to help her. But as skilled as Tiana has become, she's still no match for Marshall Kent on her own. He's a veteran tracker and killer, and Tiana is running on emotion rather than strategy. She'll get close enough to see him, maybe even close enough to take a shot, but something will go wrong. Kent will spot her, or her inexperience will cause her to make a noise that alerts him. Whatever happens, Tiana will find herself in deadly danger, with Kent hunting her instead of the other way around. This is where I believe we'll finally see my favorite character, the female Marshal, step in. She's been mostly absent this season, which is a crime considering how compelling she was in season 1. The female Marshal has her own reasons to hate Kent, and helping Tiana would serve her own interests as well. She'll arrive just in time to save Tiana from Kent, perhaps winging him with a shot that forces him to retreat. The meeting between Tiana and the female Marshal will be tense at first. Tiana won't trust anyone in a law enforcement uniform, regardless of gender. The Marshal will have to earn Tiana's trust, perhaps, by sharing her own history with Kent and the injustices she's witnessed. Eventually, they'll realize they need each other. Tiana has the personal motivation and knowledge of the land. The Marshal has the skills and authority to take Kent down legally. By the end of episode 6, I expect them to form an uneasy alliance. They'll begin planning how to trap Kent, setting up what will likely be a major confrontation in episode 7 or the finale. This partnership won't be easy. Both women are stubborn and have different ideas about justice. The Marshal will want to bring Kent in alive to face legal consequences, while Tiana will only be satisfied with his death. This conflict could create some powerful scenes as they argue over what true justice looks like. There's also the question of Tiana's father. We know he's been searching for her, and their reunion is long overdue. Will he find her before she goes after Kent? Or will he arrive too late, only to discover that his daughter has become someone he barely recognizes a killer in her quest for justice? I'm betting he'll find her just after she and the female Marshal have formed their alliance, adding another layer of complexity. He'll want to take Tiana to safety, while she'll insist on seeing her revenge through to the end. This storyline is one of the most emotionally charged in the entire series. It's about more than just personal revenge. It represents the broader historical injustices against Native Americans. Tiana's fight against Kent symbolizes her people's resistance against those who've tried to erase their culture and existence. That's why her story can't end with her simply escaping or finding safety. She needs to confront the evil that's been pursuing her, not just for herself, but for everyone Kent has harmed. Alex's storyline is honestly starting to frustrate me. After her harrowing experience in episode 5, she's now headed to Winnetka, Illinois, with the British couple who saved her. This detour means we definitely won't see her arrive in Montana in episode 6, and probably not in episode 7 either. It's looking more and more like her reunion with Spencer will be saved for the season finale, which is massively disappointing. An entire season without seeing Alex and Spencer together? That's asking a lot of the audience, especially after they've been through so much separately. In episode 6, I expect we'll see Alex recovering from her trauma in Winnetka. The British couple, particularly the wife, who bravely helped her, will become her temporary family. They'll provide the safe harbor Alex desperately needs after everything she's been through. She'll likely have moments where she breaks down, finally processing all the horrors she's endured since being separated from Spencer.